841, Big 550, KTRS. Christmas came early to the supporters of the Loop Trolley. They got their money they needed so that they can complete the Loop Trolley and save the world from riding bikes and cars and walking. David Stokes with the Show Me Policy Institute. Good morning, David Stokes.
Or riding buses or Metrolink, which all travel the exact same route, basically.
That cannot happen. No, we need a trolley in downtown University City. Good morning, David Stokes. What's the big deal?
Good morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly. The big deal is that just a year ago, roughly a year ago, the Loop Trolley representatives were asked at a public forum, how are you going to pay for any cost overruns? And they said, on the record, if you will, that the Transportation Development District, meaning the property owners, the district itself, not general taxpayers, that the TDD would pay for any cost overruns. And sure enough, just a few months later, there's a big cost overrun of $8 million, which is a lot on a $40 million project, now $50 million project. And
yeah, it's almost 25%.
We'll just go and ask the general taxpayers to bail us out through the county transportation sales tax. And so that's what they did. And it's very frustrating to see people just about a year ago say one thing, and then when the rubber meets the road or the trolley meets the tracks, right, just go and ask for a general taxpayer bailout. It's very frustrating.
It's a pretty good. Now, what do we know why they're over budget? I mean, is it unforeseen things, or was it just built into the cake that they knew they weren't going to have enough money and they just sort of faked it?
Well, it's my colleague Joe Miller has written carefully about this at showmeinstitute.org, and he would maintain that the cost overruns, which were announced as sort of an emergency about a month ago,
right,
were widely known as of the summer because they put in for the Transportation Improvement Program funding to the amount of $50 million, which includes the cost overruns. So they put in enough money to cover costs, put in requests,
right,
but they didn't go public with it till you can't go public with it till half the tracks are laid, and now if you stop the project, now you've got a big hole that's just going to left there.
Right.
You can't announce that at the beginning. People might change their mind.
You can't just build an airport and let it sit for 20 years and no one use it. I mean, you have to actually... Oh, never mind. All right, that's the Loop Trolley. But it's nice to see that the stadium isn't falling into that same funk, the stadium financing. That's going to be all buttoned up and ready to go. No cost overruns, and that's going to cost what everyone says it's going to cost.
Well, it's I love McGraw the optimist. These tend, and I hope it does, and we all remember... When you responsibly build in a little leeway for inevitable cost overruns, and you can come in with big projects on budget, like I-64, very well came in on time and on budget. But generally speaking, these large projects come in over budget because you never appropriately account. Even if you build in the extra 10 to 15% just for the unforeseen factors, usually they come in even beyond that. So how's it going to come with the stadium? We don't know. There's still so many question marks.
Well,
is there going to be a team? Are they going to build it if we don't have guarantees of a team? That would, of course, be the worst situation.
I would argue that even the NFL says that the appropriate money isn't appropriated because either the same day or the day after the vote out of the committee, Eric Grubman, the NFL guy, was on with Bernie Miklasz, and he was saying, look, this financing isn't done yet. There's still, this is not going to be enough money. We need more money. So the NFL is even saying that this deal that is going through the Board of Aldermen isn't enough money.
It's short a couple $100 million, if I recall, from that end, because the stadium's not going to be fancy enough or nice enough for the new NFL standards.
Right.
So, I mean, the gall of these people is
unbelievable.
is just unbelievable.
Well,
maybe there's a complicated economic answer to it, but also just the unmitigated gall.
But in one sense, you can't blame the NFL because nobody in Missouri will stand up and say enough is enough. This stadium is nice enough. We already built you a stadium 20 years ago. It's a fine stadium. Now you want the Taj Mahal, and this billion-dollar stadium isn't enough. You need more. You know what? This is our final offer. Take it or leave it. But no one will say that to the NFL.
And the people trying to say that are then told that they don't have a voice in it, be it state legislators or St. Louis City voters who
Right.
thought they'd have a vote on this, and then that allowance for them to vote was tossed out by the courts
Right.
and the state legislatures. So anything that the Board of Aldermen does that I think people have tried to make clear to them, anything you're saying that, and cost overruns will be borne by the state. I mean, do you think the state legislature is going to appropriate that money? Unless you can come up with a plan where tax credits, which go through a commission and not the legislature, are going to fund this forever, which is, I think, a terrible, terrible public policy idea and totally undemocratic. But nonetheless, if that's your plan to commission-based tax credits to fund cost overruns, that's that might do it, but that's even more frightening in the long run.
I can't. My hat's off to them. I mean, for them to be able to pull this off, whether you agree or disagree, just the sheer power of these people to get this done with no vote of the people and everybody against it is my hat's off to them. That's fantastic.
Well, I don't think it's how our founders envisioned democracy.
I don't
working.
either. I mean,
government suing government to prevent one agency of government suing another agency of government to prevent the people from voting on it when the people went through the process to get the ballot initiative passed.
It's diabolical. Don't get me wrong, but it's
Right.
it's brilliant in its insanity. I mean, you just have to tip your cap on. They will figure out a way to do it and circumvent every check and every balance there is.
And
It's sad, but it is what it is.
And the frightening thing is it could be. They do say that they're not going to move forward on this unless we have a 100% guarantee of a team. I, of course, find nothing in this whole process to give them the benefit of the doubt to believe anything that the supporters of it say, but I hope they're right. But it would not actually surprise me at all for the Rams to leave, them to go forward on this stadium under the idea that will lure another stadium, which would then, we'd be so desperate and in such a hole, we would give every bit of as bad a deal as we did in the early 90s to the Rams.
We did that the first go around. We built a stadium. We didn't have a team.
And we
Right.
appear to be learning nothing from
So
any
why
of
not?
this.
Why not do it again? Well, the mayor's office did say early on in this process that it would go to a vote of the people. Don't forget that. The mayor's office did say that.
They've said a lot of lots of agencies have said lots of things which have just not come true at all. And I'll be very interested to hear your is it the next hour?
What's my guess?
The
Oh
Alder
no,
woman?
that's on Martin's show.
That's on Martin's show.
That's on Martin's show. So
But I will be listening.
oh, stay tuned all day. You listen all the time.
I do. I'm a former guest host. I'm a part of the family of the Kilcoyne
Yeah,
show.
but that only happened once, though. No. David Stokes, when can we read you? When can we see you?
We got a lot of information on both the Loop Trolley, the stadium deal, and many more subjects at showmeinstitute.org. Thank you, McGraw. Thank you, Kelly.
Have a good week. 850 Big 550 KTRS.
Impression you make online? When you do a Google search for your name or business, do you like what you see? Do your search results make you look good, or do they give